he took shelter of Maharaj Parikshit. And Maharaj Parikshit is well known for giving protection to the surrendered. Anyone who took shelter of him, he always protected them. So, in that way, Maharaj's uh, glory is sung in the history. And so he was very kind upon this poor fellow. Then he started talking to him. Text number 31. Rajovacha न ते गुडाकेश न ते गुडाकेश यशोधराणां बद्धञ्जलैर्वैर्भयमस्ति किञ्चित् न वर्तितव्यं भवता कथञ्चन क्षेत्रे मदीये त्वमधर्मबन्धु. So today, starting with this verse, we're going to mostly speak about how to deal with the friend of irreligiosity, the religion personified, also we can say. We will see what are the qualities of the friend of a religion has, and how to deal with such a person. So here, king immediately he started speaking. Note gudakesha jasodharanam baddhanjalaipe bhayamasti kinchit. See, this is the magnanimity of a pious ruler. Even though the irreligion personified Kali, he took shelter of Maharaj Parikshit. He is saying, Gudakesha Jasodharana. We are the upholder of the glory of Arjuna. Gudakesha is Arjuna. And Baddhanjalai by Bhayamasti Kichit. Since you have taken shelter of me, so there is no need to be afraid of anything. But no vartitavyam bhavata kathanchana. You cannot stay in my country. Khetre madiye tvam adharma bandhu. You being the friend of religion, you cannot stay in my country. This is a very interesting point here. Maharaj Parikshit is making that being a king, being a true representative of Krishna, he is giving shelter to all. Even the religion personified, when he came with folded hand, took shelter of Maharaj Parikshit, he said, all right, you don't have to be afraid of anything now, since you have taken shelter of me. But you are not allowed to stay in my country. See, the ruler or the people who follow the religious principle and rule the citizens, they are very clean in their administration process. So here he is saying, you cannot stay in my country. The king thus said, we have inherited the fame of Arjuna. That means Gudakesha Jasodharanam. Therefore, since you have surrendered yourself with folded hands, you need not fear for your life. That means he's saying, I'll not kill you, don't worry. But you cannot remain in my kingdom. So a true ruler, he will not tolerate people who are into religious practice. For you are the friend of religion. Prabhupada explains that Lord Krishna, who practically brought into being the battle of Kurukshetra, but not for any personal interest. That means people who rule the citizens by following the course of religion, Sometimes it looks like in their administration they are very strict, but they don't have any personal interest involved if they are a true representative of Krishna. Because we see the Kurukshetra war was led by Krishna for establishing a virtuous king. He wanted Maharaj Parikshit and his descendants like Maharaj Parikshit. He first of all wanted to establish Maharaj Yudhishthir, then his descendants like Maharaj Parikshit to rule the kingdom. And Prabhupada is saying very nicely that a responsible king like Maharaj Parikshit could not allow the friend of religiosity to flourish in his kingdom at the cost of the good fame of the Pandavas. That is the way of wiping out corruption in the state and not otherwise. The friends of religiosity should be banished from the state, and that will save the state from corruption. So as long as the king continue to give shelter to the friend of religion, the corruption will continue. That is the message. Text number 32. त्वं वर्तमानं नरदेव देहेषु अनुप्रवृत्तो धर्म पूवः लोभनृतं चौर्यमनार्यमंहो ज्येष्ठा च माया कलहश्च दम्भः त्वं वर्तमानं. So king is saying, please hear from me. What? You are, first of all, he said, adharma bandhu. You are friend of religion. Means, what are the iniquities you have in you, you must know now. Tvam vartamanam naradevate. Tat prabhritta dosanshunu. Means, here the faults in your instincts. In this verse says that Naradevadehe means even the demigods whose bodies are attacked by you become irreligious, like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, vanity, etc. So that means even if somebody is a demigod and he is attacked by such kind of religious qualities, then here our Acharya, they say, what to speak of the human being? While the personality of Kali present in the body of a human or demigod, several iniquities such as greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, misfortune, cheating, and vanity, they spread their influence. That means when we find a person having such kind of qualities, he's quarrelsome, he's cheater, then we should know how to deal with such kind of person. Very interesting, Prabhupada in the beginning of the purport is saying, the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, as we have already discussed, may be followed by the followers of any faith. There is no need to turn from Hindu to Mohammedan to Christian or some other faith and thus become a renegade and not follow the principles of religion. some people we find today in the world who does not want to identify themselves with any religion or any caste. Recently, it is becoming more and more prominent even in India also. See, people, they feel religion means a faith. Religion is not just a faith. Huh? Uh, so, Prabhupada says, regulative principles may be different in terms of the time and place concerned. These are regulative principles. These are not faith. As people think, becoming a Hindu or becoming a Mohammedan, becoming a Christian means we have to follow certain faith. Religion is not a faith. There are certain principles, the regulative principles that are required to be followed by the human being to attain success in this human form of life. So people who don't want to follow any religious practice, then what are they? They are actually like animal. Dharmena hina pasubhi samana. Life without religion is animal life. So therefore, here it is highly recommended that everybody has to follow certain religion. Because so-called religious preacher, so-called spiritualists, they have translated this religion as a faith. That's why many people are going away from following the religious principles. So, but actually, religion is not a faith. Rather, religion means the regulative principles. If we say regulative principles, then it makes sense, right? If you see any country in the world, they cannot function without having some rules and regulations. Every country they have. That these rules and regulations are meant for who? For citizens of that country. So now, if these people, they say, no, we don't have to follow any rules and regulations, then how is it possible? They are not allowed to live in that country if they don't want to follow the rules and regulations. Similarly, if we have to live in the kingdom of God, then we have to follow the rules and regulations of God. The Bhagavatam religion urges following the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not the dogmas or regulative principles of a certain faith. Such regulative principles may be different in terms of time and place concerned. You see, religion is defined in terms of following some religious principles, and they differ from country to country or place to place, we can say, like Prabhupada is saying, principles of a certain terms of time, place, and concerned. Because people who are heavily influenced by the mood of passion or ignorance, they cannot follow the principles that are meant for people who are in the mood of goodness. So, therefore, the principles have been defined in the religious book in such a way that even a person in the lower mood can gradually elevate himself and come to the platform of goodness so that he can find the way for liberation. One has to see whether the aims of religion has been achieved. That means sticking to the dogmas and formulas without attaining the real principles is not good. A secular state, a secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive heads of state will be indifferent to such religious principles. And therefore, under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles such as greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery will naturally follow, and so there will be no meaning to propaganda crying to stop corruption in the state. So these kings who are in one way trying to stop the corruption, at the same time, they are giving way for quarrel and robbery, falsehood, etc. They cannot actually be successful in their ruling. Then King Maharaj Parikshit continues, text number 33. Na vartitavyam tadadharma bandho dharmena satyena cha vartitavye brahma varte jatra jajanti jagyeshwaram jagyavitana vigyaha. So he's saying, na vartitavyam. So he's saying, you don't deserve to live here. Why? Why the personality of religion is not entitled to live in the country where a pious king is ruling? Because here he is saying, Brahma varte, dharmena satyena chavartitavya Brahma varte. In Brahmavarta is the tract of land. Some says it is in North India. Anyway, it is in India, whatever we may say, which is created by the demigods. So in this country, whoever resides, they all follow religious principles. And satyena means from the root. They follow their religious principle completely. What does it mean? Jagyeswaram jajanti. They worship Jagyeswara. Who is Jagyeswara? Somebody may say, here in India, people worship Indra and many other Chandra and many other demigods. So why only Bhagavan, Krishna should be worshipped? So Krishna is actually Jagyeshwara. Because he said in Bhagavad Gita, Hi sarvajagyanam bhaktacha prabhurevacha. He is the Lord and enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Because through the yajna, he actually, it is explained that Jagna Vitanasya Yogeshwara Yajana Vistarasya Vigna Asritaha Jagyan Jajanti Aradhya iti tasmin tvaya na vartitavyam. Means here Maharaj Parikshit is saying that in this country, in Brahmavarta, everybody is engaged in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the performance of sacrifice. That means you are not entitled to stay here. That means we can say, in the current world, some people, they say, Bharatvarsha means entire world. Because we are saying this, Brahmavarta is in India, Bharatvarsha. So when we say this Brahmavarta or Bharatvarsha is referred to the entire world, then everybody in the world should take to the process of sacrifice. yajna. They should perform yajna. But how many people in the world today, they have taken to the performance of yajna? Yajna Purusha, they are worshipping Yajna Purusha, the personality of Godhead Krishna, through the performance of sacrifice. No, people are not doing this. Prabhupada is giving a very beautiful purport. The atheists do not believe in the existence of God, and they do not perform any sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. This is very prominent. Most of the world today, they don't follow sacrifice, perform sacrifice. Any place or country where the supremacy of the Lord is accepted and thus sacrifice is performed is called Brahmartha. So from this definition, we can say, since most of the country today are not dedicated to perform sacrifice, so they cannot be called Brahmartha. There are different countries in different parts of the world, and each and every country may have different types of sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. But the central point is pleasing Him is ascertained in the Bhagavatam, and it is truthfulness. That means in this age of Kali, only truthfulness is remaining. Means by being truthful, one can repair the other lost leg of personality of religion, Kali. And therefore, everybody should at least practice yajna performance. And later on, Prabhupada described in his age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is the Sankirtan Yajna, which ISKCON is doing and encouraging whole world to take shelter of the Sankirtan Yajna and serve the Lord. So, Yajna Vitana Vigyaha. What is that Yajna? Everybody should perform, which is recommended by the experts. That is Sankirtan Yajna. And we are doing that. We are encouraging everybody to take part in this Sankirtan Yajna. Jasmin Harir Bhagavatani Jasmin Harir Bhagavani Jyamana Ijyatma Murti Jajatam Samtamoti Kaman Moghan Sthirajangamana Antar Vahir Vayurivaish Atma Jasmin Harit Bhagavan Ijyaman. So when people, they perform this sacrifice, one may say, well, people are also performing sacrifice in different parts of the world. If you go to different country today, some people, they are into some rituals. They take the performance of such rituals as the performance of sacrifice. But actually, we cannot accept that. Why? By the performance of sacrifice, Hari Bhagavan Ijjamana. The Jagyampati, Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chandra should be worshipped through the performance of sacrifice. But if we see how many people in the world today performing sacrifice, and that is aimed at satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not many people are doing. So that's why here King Parikshit is saying, King Parikshit is saying, Jasmin Harir Bhagavan Ijyamana Ijyatma Murtir Jajatam Samtanoti. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, who is in the body of the demigods as Antarjami. So here Vishnu Chakravarti, he is commenting, he is saying, Nanu Indrade Devata Pijyante no Kevalam Bhagavana Vaitya. We have seen in different parts of India at least, Indra and other demigods are being worshipped. Bhagavan is not worshipped. So he is saying, Ijyanam Indradinam Atmamurti Anta Antarjami Rupa. Means this Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is in the body of the Indra and other demigods as Antarjami. And Sthira Jangamanam, Sthira Jangamanam, Asmat Prajanam Kaman Ahikan Sam Paratrikam Shukham Cho Tanoti. By the performance of sacrifice, when the result of the sacrifice is offered to this Supreme Lord, then he bestows the happiness in this world and in the next world. Vayuriva antarvahishcha sakshat anubhuyamana. He can be realized like the air which is present inside and outside. But as long as you are here, this personality of religion, this cannot be so. That means those who are the friend of religion, in their presence, we cannot expect people to be dedicated to the execution of the sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Or we can also say, where there is personality of religion, they will pollute the situation. Therefore, this personality of religion should be banished. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is he only who awards all welfare to the worshippers. Purport. It is even sometimes seen that demigods like Indra and Chandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards. Yet the awards of all such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord, and it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshippers. So in Gita also we have seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he gives faith to demigod worshippers. And by this faith, they only worship the demigod. And not only that, after they worship the demigod, the result is also awarded to them by the Supreme Lord. So in that way, Prabhupada is also commenting the verse, Jepi anna devata bhakta jadante sadhyani tatyepi manlokonte bhajante vidipurvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other demigods or son of Kunti is rarely meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. People do not know that the result of performing sacrifice is to serve the Lord, but they just simply want to perform some ritual to get their material desires fulfilled. One devotee was telling me once, he said in South India, people they worship demigod with the concept that we are actually worshipping the Atma of the demigod, Paramatma. But why worship the Paramatma who is residing in the heart of a demigod? You can directly worship that Supreme Lord, Vishnu, Krishna, right? Because people, they want to fulfill their material desire, therefore they go to demigods. Text number 35. Parikshitair vadamishta sakalir jatave pathu tam udyata sima deham danda pani mivodyatam. Shuddha Goswami said, the personality of Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaj Parikshit, began to tremble in fear. So Kalir Jata Bepathu. he started to tremble in fear. Seeing the king before him like Jamaraj, ready to kill him, Kali spoke to the king as follows. Um, so, the king or the executive head must be so strong to stand before the personality of Kali. Otherwise, what will happen? These Kali, they will create a lot of disturbance. That is the rule, not that one who is in the ruling position, they try to give shelter to the personalities of Kali, who will create disturbance in the life of the normal people. And when the king is not strict in his ruling, uh, they will not be able to give satisfaction to the citizens. Actually, in this world today, true king can be found in the devotee community. Those who are devotee of Lord Krishna, they don't have to fear anything. Like, in our ISKCON temples, we can implement these things very nicely. Because all the devotees are there, and if we create a nice administration system, then we can easily deal with this Kali, personality of religion. Kali Ruvaja. So Kali, when he saw the king is now very angry at him, so now he started speaking. Jatra Kovatha Vatsami Sarvabhauma Tavagjaya Lakhyate Tatra Tatrapi Tamateshu Sarasanam. He said, my dear king, you told me that I can live somewhere, but where I can live? Jatra Kovatha Vatsami. Wherever I go to live, Sarvabhauma Tavagya. Your order is prominent everywhere. And wherever I see, Lakhyate Tatra Tatrapi Tumateshu Sarasana. Wherever I see, I can see only you standing with bow and arrow. That means this is a very interesting point for us as a devotee of Lord Krishna. The devotees of Krishna should administer the temple, we would say like that in this situation, because our devotees are not king of the world. They are not the king of any country or any state, but at least we have some control over some temples. So the temple administration system or the head of the temple should be such that if there is a person who is a friend of religion, he should be afraid of the ruling system. Like here we can see, he is saying, wherever I go, I'm just able to see you standing with bow and arrow, ready to punish me. Our religious administrative system should be such that irreligious personalities must be afraid of us, because wherever they go, they must see our clean character, clean behavior, and clean activities. Tanme dharma vritam seshtha sthanam nirdeshtumarhasi jatraiva niyata vatsa atishtam stenu sarasanam. He is saying now he has become a very good man. He is saying, Tanme dharma vritam seshtha. You are the chief of the protector of religion. Therefore, Nirdestu Maharshi, please assign me the place. Jatraiva Niyatavats. And wherever you say, I'm definitely going to stay there without creating any disturbance. Atistam te anusasana. I will follow your order. Just you assign a place. Therefore, O chief amongst the protector of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. Sutavasa. Abhyarthitastada tasmai sthanani kalaye dadau dutam panam striyam suna jatra dharmas chaturvidha. So after hearing from Kali, after hearing Kali's request, then Maharaj Parikshit, he awarded 4 places. What are those places? He permitted him to reside in gambling place, drinking place, prostitution house, and animal slaughterhouse. So these were the 4 places he awarded him. In this case, we should understand that Dutam Panam Striyam Suna Jatra Dharma Chaturvidha. These are the 4 places where irreligious activities are rampant. So here Panam means Madhyapana, or Panam means also pride, mother. So here this, by drinking alcohol, one remains devoid of mercy. And also when somebody is intoxicated, he becomes bereft of austerities. The pride destroys austerity, and also pride destroys mercy. In the 12th canto, the 4 legs of dharma is described as satya, truthfulness, daya, mercy, austerity, dana, charity. If you see here, dana is not mentioned. In this verse, cleanliness is accepted as charity actually.
You can't handle the truth.
How can one accept charity and cleanliness on the equal level? So that is explained. Mana Suddhi Rupatpad Abhadanasya means charity means avoiding fearlessness. One whose mind is pure, he can avoid fearlessness. Therefore, charity is equal to fearlessness. And 4 legs of irreligion are anrita, untruth, himsa means violence, asantos, displeasure, vigraha, verb. Asantos, this displeasure, implies pride. Pride is the cause of increased madness, which in turn brings displeasure. So you can see sometimes when we see Dutopanam Striyasuna, Jatra Dharma Chaturvidha, these are the 4 places where religion personality resides. So we feel like we are okay. But just imagine if we don't remain even clean in our mind. When we lose the cleanliness standard, even in our mind, there is a problem. If we become very much proud, the pride will also bring displeasure. You can see those people who are proud of anything, they are many times disturbed. They are not in a happy mood. They are in suffering out of displeasure. So in that way, in devotee community, even though we follow these 4 regulative principles, But in the subtle way, how they also affect an individual, that need to be seen. As we said, there are four legs of religion, there are four legs of irreligion also. If somebody is quarrelsome and he is untruthful, uh, uh, remain always in distress, he's not happy, that means these are the support of irreligion. Uh, Srila Prabhupada, he has given a very long purport, but we'll read one paragraph. One man's food may be poison for others. Similarly, what is recommended for those in a mood of ignorance may be poison for those in a mood of goodness. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu therefore affirms that recommendations in the scriptures for a certain class of men are never to be considered adharma or religious. But such activities are factually adharma and they are never to be encouraged. The recommendations in the scriptures are not meant for the encouragement of such adharma, but the regulating and necessary adharma gradually towards the path of dharma. That means these basic principles of religiosity, pride, prostitution, intoxication, falsehood, uh, counteracts the four principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. So, the personality of Kali was given permission to live in four places mentioned in this verse, namely the gambling place, prostitution place, and then the drinking place, and the animal slaughter. But at the same time, also those who are proud, they are automatically drawn to such kind of practices. See, Prabhupada is speaking about charity also in this verse. The citizens of the state must give in charity up to 50% of their income for the purpose of creating a spiritual atmosphere in the state or in the human society, both individually and collectively. They should preach the principles of Bhagavatam. Actually, money should be utilized for the preaching Bhagavata Dharma. Karma Yoga are doing everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. Regular hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam from authorized person or realized souls, chanting of the glories of the Lord regularly at home or at places of worship, rendering all kinds of service to Bhagavatas engaged in preaching Srimad Bhagavatam, and residing in a place where the atmosphere is saturated with God consciousness. If the state is regulated by the above process, naturally there will be God consciousness everywhere. Prabhupada has given volumes of books and he wants everybody in the world to read his books, practice these religious principles, but hardly anybody is taking interest nowadays. Is the sad part of the modern life. Anyway, so after he was given these four places, still he was not satisfied. Punascha jachamanaya jato rupamadat prabhu tato anritam madam kamam rajo vairam cha panchamam. So after Maharaj Parikshit awarded these four places, the Kali was saying, I don't find any place in your country which is free from these four defects. So where can I live? Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit said, okay. He gave Jata Rupam, that is gold. And here it is said, Anritam means falsehood, and madam, intoxication, kamam, lust, raja, uh, uh, means this passionate mood, then bairam, enmity. Actually, these five places, our acharyas, they comment that wherever there is gold, there are all these five things. Uh, People will be very much passionate, people will be inimical, they will be drawn to intoxication, lust, and falsehood. Therefore, those who are uh, desirous to grow higher in spiritual life, they must avoid coming closer to such things. Amuni panchasthanani yadharma prabhava kalihi Autareya dattani nyavadat tannidesakrit. Thus, the personality of Kali, by the direction of Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those five places. Athaitani nasevena buhusu purusak kvachit. See, this is the point. Buhusu purusak kvachit means those who desire their well-being, no seveta. They should not develop, here seveta means they should not desire, they should not develop even attachment, attraction to such kind of things. Visheshata dharma shila raja lokapati guru. Prabhupada is saying, therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, religionists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the four above mentioned religious principles. The nice purport I just want to read. The Brahmanas are the religious preceptors for all other castes, and the sannyasis are the spiritual masters for all the castes and other orders of society. So also are the king and the public leaders who are responsible for the material welfare of all people. The progressive religionists and those who are responsible human beings or those who do not want to spoil their valuable human lives should refrain from all the principles of religiosity, especially illicit connection with women. If a Brahmana is not truthful, all his claims as a Brahmana at once become null and void. If a sannyasi is illicitly connected with women, all his claims as a sannyasi at once become false. Similarly, if the king and the public leader are unnecessarily proud or habituated to drinking and smoking, certainly they become disqualified to discharge public welfare activities. Truthfulness is the basic principle for all religion. The four leaders of the human society, namely the sannyasis, the brahmanas, the king, and the public leader, must be tested crucially by their character and qualification. Before one can be accepted as a spiritual or material master of society, he must be tested by the above mentioned criteria of character. Such public leaders may be less qualified in academic qualifications, but it is necessary primarily that they be free from the contamination of the four disqualifications, namely gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Wow. Prabhupada is saying people may be less qualified in material qualification, or if they are anyway connected with these four defects, then they should not be accepted as a public leader or even a king or even a sannyasi or even a brahmana. That means they should be they should be leading the life of truth. Then we can expect good thing to happen in this world. Vishasya nastam strin padam tapo saucham dayamiti prati sandad aswasya mahimcha samavardhayat. Therefore, the king re-established the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the conditions of the earth. So here you can see, you can ask this question that when Maharaj Parikshit, he met this personality of religion, he had lost his three legs. How come Maharaj Parikshit was able to re-establish the lost legs of the personality of religion? How did he do that? Or is it possible we, at this present age, can re-establish this lost leg of religion? Uh, so first of all, we need to understand when it is said there are four legs, uh, uh, but now there's only one leg. It is not like now three legs are destroyed, only one leg is there. That means the in Treta Yuga, uh, one fourth of each religious principle were destroyed. Okay, Dwapar it became half, and Kali it is reduced to 1% only. That means all these four legs are there, but they are very weak. When one leads a life of truth in this age of Kali, then automatically all other legs of religion will become powerful. They can be re-established. This is the point. Therefore, um, any person who leads his life on truthfulness, he doesn't have to worry about the personality of Kali. Personality of Kali will always try to create some fear by creating some circumstantial situations, but one who is in the mm, path of truth, he doesn't have to worry about anything. This is what Maharaj Parikshit was able to repair the lost three legs of Kali. That's religion, sorry. Uh, so Prabhupada is writing the purport. Maharaj Parikshit, therefore, like his grandfather Arjuna, collected all illicit gold kept for the prosperities of Kali and employed it in the Sankirtan Yajna as per instructions of the Srimad Bhagavata. As we have suggested before, one's accumulated wealth may be divided into three parts for distribution, namely 50% for the service of the Lord, 25% for the family members, and 25% for personal necessities. Uh, Spending 50% for the service of the Lord or for propagation of the spiritual knowledge in society by way of the Sankirtan Yajna is the maximum display of human mercy. People of the world are generally in darkness regarding spiritual knowledge, especially in regard to the devotional service of the Lord, and therefore to propagate the systematic transcendental knowledge of devotional service is the greatest mercy that one can show in this world. When everyone is taught to sacrifice 50% of his accumulated gold for the Lord's service, certainly austerity, cleanliness, and mercy automatically ensure. And thus, the lost three legs of the personality of religion are automatically established. When there is sufficient austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, naturally Mother Earth is completely satisfied and there is very little chance for Kali to infiltrate the structure of human society. Uh, so that means we have to do more preaching. We have to preach Krishna consciousness more and more. We have to use all our resources in spreading the Sankirtan Yajna of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then we can restrict the intervention of Kali personality. So isa itarhabdhyasta asanam parthivochitam Pitamahena panyastam Rajñaranyam vivikshata Asti dhuna sarajarsi kauravendra syollasam Gajahoye mahabhagas chakravartim brihatsavaha. The most fortunate emperor Maharaj Parikshit, who was entrusted with the kingdom of Hastinapur by Maharaj Yudhishthir when he desired to retire to the forest, is now ruling the world with great success due to his being glorified by the deeds of the kings of the Kuru dynasty. Then Prabhupada says, we can still purge out from the state all the activities of immorality introduced by the personality of Kali if we determined to take action like Maharaj Parikshit. That means the message for us is in our Krishna consciousness society, we need to have many leaders like Maharaj Parikshit. If we want to drive out corruption from the state, we can say if we want to drive out corruption, at least from the ISKCON state, we must first of all organize society to accept the principle of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And to make the condition favorable, we must close all places of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and falsity. These are some of the practical lessons from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. If the India had, or we can say the ministry, not only in India, in any country, the ministry, they listen to this narration and they implement, definitely there will be a tremendous change in people's behavior, and also there will be a lot of prosperity we can see in the world. Itham bhutanubhavoyam abhimanyu suto nripaha jasya palayataha ksaunim bhuyam yuyam satraya dikkhitaha. You see why Prabhupada is saying that we need to have many people like Maharaj Parikshit to serve in this world. Because Maharaj Parikshit was there, therefore these kings, these rishis in Naimisharanya, they were able to start a yajna that can last for 1,000 years. That was under the patronage of Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, is so experienced that by dint of his expert administration and propaganda patronage, it has been possible for you to perform a sacrifice such as this. That means Sutta Goswami at the end is saying that Maharaj Parikshit's activities are so glorious that because he was a very pious king, under his patronage, you rishis today are still able to perform this yajna. Prabhupada writes, austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, the basic principles of religion, prepare the ground for the reputation, for the reception of advancement in spiritual knowledge. And Maharaj Parikshit made this favorable condition possible. Thus, the rishis of Naimisaranya were able to perform the sacrifices for 1,000 years. In other words, without state support, no doctrines or philosophy or religious principles can progressively advance. There should be complete cooperation between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas for this common good. Even up to Maharaj Ashoka, the same spirit was prevailing. Lord Buddha was sufficiently supported by King Ashoka, and thus his particular cult of knowledge was spread all over the world. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Punishment and Reward of Kali. So next week we'll continue from chapter 18. So today, before we conclude our session, if you have any question or comment, we can spend some time. Yes, Sahadev Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the class as always. Srila Prabhupada was very heavy at some points. And I wish we can pass on this information to the leaders of the world. I don't know how we'll be able to do it, but I think it's important.
Well, you know, in my, sorry Prabhuji for interruption, in my understanding, I would say, you know, only our ISKCON leaders, they should read these purports thoroughly. Forget about rest of the world. Well, we are not fully equipped with, you know, we are not fully equipped to bring this message to the, you know, outside world. But at least inside ISKCON, if we can implement this, no, many people are thinking very seriously nowadays, we can see on this line, because they have been in the movement for many, many years. They are matured and they want to be truthful devotees. So it's becoming, you know, more clear in society. At least I would say in our society, we should try to implement this. Continue, Prabhu.
Yes, yes. You're very right, Prabhuji, because if we ourselves are able to implement this, then in the outside world, we may not have to preach by word, but by our action, they will see what we're doing and they will come to us for help. But thank you, Prabhuji, for that recognition. But the question I have is the last sentence of the last paragraph of text 38. Srila Prabhupada stated something there which I am guilty of. Srila Prabhupada was saying that at all cost, any sort of intoxicant must be prohibited. And he was talking about like the sales of cigarettes, alcohol, and he mentioned about tea. And I do not prepare like raw tea in my home to drink, but sometimes I buy drink from the store that contains tea in it. So I just want to find out, is that also like going against Srila Prabhupada's instructions?
We should not use tea. Nowadays, some Ayurvedic teas are available with some herbs. There is no any intoxicant. So maybe you can look into those items.
Yeah, I mean, they label it as tea, but it's not like a typical tea that intoxicates. But the word tea is written on it. But like I'm saying, tea is like very strong. And this tea, you drink it, it's just like maybe making like a ginger, they have this thing they call ginger tea.
Yeah, ginger tea is okay, no? Ginger tea.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
We also prepare with honey, ginger and all.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay.
Well, if I may say, Happy New Year to each and everyone. May Guru and Krishna bless us with his bhakti in this entire age. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you for doing my part. Yes. May Krishna protect all of us in Krishna Bhakti. Okay, my dear devotees, see you next week, starting from chapter 18. Gradually coming to the end of chapter Canto 1. Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare.
Acha Patarubhyascha Vipasindhave Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo